hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 16 winter Dollar Tree DIYs for you. I've put together some of my best winter DIYs I've done here on my channel. A lot of these have a coastal feel, but some of them are just for winter itself. And let's get started. We're going to use one of these Christmas ornaments from the Dollar Tree, one of these vases from the Dollar Tree, one of these little battery-operated LED lanterns from the Dollar Tree, and some Dollar Tree white rope. This is the 11-foot nautical rope cotton. And I wanted to make, I've seen lots of people make the little light post DIYs, but I wanted to do my own take on it. So we're going to make ours into a lighthouse. I think that's going to be cool, but I'm also going to do a winter theme for it. So just getting my rope ready, I'm going to use one of these little snowy wreath ornaments from the Dollar Tree. If you wanted to use this lighthouse year-round, you could skip this step, but I'm doing this to make it look like there's snow at the bottom of the lighthouse. So just using hot glue to remove all of the ribbon and decor that was on there, and this fits in there perfectly, just like that. Now I'm going to start with the rope. I'm going to, if you wanted not to have the snow, you would start at the very bottom of the wreath, but I'm going to start a little bit further up where it meets with the snowy bottom. So I'm going to kind of glue it to the vase and to the ornament that's down below with hot glue. And I'm going to use a lot of hot glue to glue it all the way around. So once I get hot glue on there, I'm just going to start wrapping this. And I wanted this vase to be thicker, so it would be like the same size as the lantern that we're going to put on top to make the lighthouse. And I thought rope would be a perfect way to add some more width to the piece. And so I'm just going to hot glue all around. Normally I would just wrap something and I wouldn't use as much hot glue. But since this was glass, I didn't really want the rope to slide around. And so I want it to be, you know, no like openings in between the different layers of rope. And I want it to stay in place on the vase. I found that this piece was heavy enough. It's not like not tipping over or anything like that. But you could always put some beans or rice inside of it to weigh it down as well if you're worried about yours tipping over. But I found that the glass was pretty heavy enough to keep it weighted down. Unfortunately, one piece of that 11-foot rope was not long enough to go all the way up it. It was really close, but just finishing that off, and we can start and stop a new piece of rope, and you can transition that pretty well with some hot glue, and I usually kind of make that the back of my piece anyway, where I start and stop, but this is what our little rope lighthouse looks like so far. So just going to open another package of that rope. You guys know I always stock up on this rope. I love it. I haven't bought it by the case, but you can buy both of I think the Dollar Tree rope by the case at dollartree.com. And just going to go all the way up to the top, right underneath the lip of that vase. And that's going to make like the perfect size for the little lantern to fit right on top. I need the lantern to be able to fit on there, but also I need it to be able to be removable so that I can turn it on and off or change batteries and such. So that's what we've got so far for our little lighthouse with our little snowy bottom. Now I'm going to go in here and try this on. It fits really good. You just kind of have to get it on there just right, like that. And this is the little lantern. I've seen people make lighthouses with the like square, I guess, one. I've never seen anybody make them with this one, but I thought we could make it work. I just removed the handle. The only thing is it makes like some little black pieces like fall inside. I do end up opening that though later and getting those out. because make sure, again, that you test these candles before you buy them at the Dollar Tree, because I found like over half the box did not work when I tested them at my store. So now I'm going to paint some stripes on our lighthouse. So I'm just using some painter's tape, and I'm going to block off where I can make like 2 wide stripes. I'm going to use painter's tape for this instead of just using the rope as a guide, because I kind of went up it, you know, like in a spiral pattern. So just taping that off and kind of pushing that down into the rope as much as I can so that I won't have very much bleeding when I go to paint that. Normally when I paint rope, I use a chalk paint, but today we're just going to use acrylic. I think it's going to work fine. And this is Caribbean blue that I'm going to use. I'm going to mix that together with some white just to lighten that a little bit. Give it a beachy, wintry vibe, and just going to paint those stripes on there. I'm using one of those little brushes from the Dollar Tree that kind of pushing it down into the fibers of the rope, trying to get in there as much as I can. Doesn't have to be a full coverage on the rope, but trying to get it as much as I can. And then I'm going to do the same thing here for the top. I'm also going to go in here and paint on some windows for our lighthouse to give it more of a lighthouse feel. But let's go ahead and dry this first and peel off the painter's tape. Now, I didn't have too much bleeding. I had a little bit, but I think it's going to be okay. I'm always going for that kind of coastal distressed look. So I'm going to give that a quick dry with my heat gun, and then we can go in and paint that. Just kind of seeing how that's going to look. I decided that I wanted to paint like some like driftwood kind of color windows onto the front. So I'm mixing some Antique Wax by Waverly with some ivory paint, and I'm just going to use a small brush and do like some little arched windows. Super easy to paint. Just one on each one of the stripes. That way you can kind of see them. You could always do this in a grayish color too, if that's more your vibe. But my plan is, I didn't really like the finish on the lantern. So my plan is to take my little distressing brush from the Dollar Tree and that lightened driftwood color. And we're going to distress all over this. So it doesn't really matter what color you got before, the black one or the gray one. This is like a brushed nickel, I guess, kind of looking one. I want some of that dark gray to show through. That'll make it look distressed. So I'm definitely not going for full coverage. And I'm trying to avoid the clear parts of the plastic on there as well. But just giving it a light distress all over to kind of make it look more like a driftwood color. Something that's going to go like way better with my decor. And I think it's going to go nicely with this piece. Now, those little lantern candles, you can open those and replace the little battery operated candle inside. I did have to do that before I took my final picture because it had already died. And so all you have to do is pop it open at the bottom. You can take out the little candle and put a new one in. Now, I wanted to do some rocks, like here at Rocky Shore around the lighthouse. And so I found these great rocks at the Dollar Tree. They're different colors and shapes and sizes, and I thought we could just hot glue different rocks here, like in a rock pile, kind of how it would look like at a lighthouse or a jetty or something like that. Just kind of picking different colors and kind of layering them up like it's a big pile of rock. I'm only going to do that like on one side here, but I think this really added a nice touch, kind of broke up the uniformity of that little snowy bottom and added a little bit more detail to this project. So just trying to cover this one side, and I do layer them a little bit to give it a little bit more depth. And we have a little rocky shore there now too. Now I kind of wanted them to look like they had snow on them. So using a little white acrylic, I am just dabbing on some little like tiny pieces of snow. It was a little too white for my liking though, so I did go back over it with a little bit of that same driftwood color to kind of dirty them up a little bit. And then I'm going to go back in there with a little bit more white for snow, just to add a little bit more character to our rocks here on our lighthouse. So that's how it's looking right now. And we can put the little battery operated lantern right on top for the top of our lighthouse. It lights up and everything. Super fun. And I think this looks really cute. You could definitely not do the snowy stuff at the bottom and make this a year-round decoration for sure. But here it is, our little coastal winter lighthouse DIY. This was so much fun to make. I love the little snowy bank and the snowy rocks there at the bottom. And the fact that it actually lights up, I think is so much fun. I always love a light up Dollar Tree DIY. Hey guys, if you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button. It always helps my videos do a little bit better here on YouTube. And so this is actually a thrift sign. I got this half price at Goodwill, so it was like $1.50. I like to get like good heavy wood signs there. You can get them almost as cheap as the Dollar Tree, but you know you're going to have like a real wood heavy duty sign. But you could always do this DIY on a Dollar Tree sign or something that you have. I'm going over the whole thing in white. I used a little bit too much paint, but I'm trying to smooth that out. Basically, I want to cover up all that white writing that was already on our sign. The signs on this were painted like a distressed white, so they're perfect. I just kind of need to get rid of that to give me a blank canvas. And now I'm going to go in and paint it. I'm going to mix my own color. This is Caribbean blue mixed with white. I wanted like a real light, icy looking blue that'd be good for winter, but it's also going to go great with my coastal decor in my house. So we're just going to paint this sign all over with that pretty blue color. I'm not going to paint the sides. I'm going to leave the sides white. I kind of like the two-tone, and I like that they're kind of like roughed up a little bit and a little bit rustic. And I'm kind of, you know, letting a little bit of that white show through just to kind of add a little bit of distress on the sign so it'll kind of look coastal without having to go back and distress it. And this is what it looks like at this point. Now I wanted to use some of this Dollar Tree rope. This is the skinnier, the 11-foot white rope. And one package is plenty for this DIY. And I wanted to make a rope snowflake. I've never tried that before, but I thought it would probably be pretty easy with this width of rope. So I'm going to give it my best go. It doesn't turn out perfect, but you know, every snowflake is different, right? So I cut a piece to size just to go all the way down the middle, and I'm just attaching that to our sign with hot glue. And I used my ruler so I could kind of find, you know, the center of the sign. And I want to make this like a 6-sided snowflake. And so I want to have like, you know, little snowflake rays going out in every direction. I used my ruler again to kind of find the halfway point of that rope that I put down originally so I would know where to go. I kind of wish I would have angled these two on this side a little bit more towards each other because in the end, they're not quite the same distance. I guess maybe we need to use a little bit more mathematical tools here. What is that called? Like a protractor? And so I just cut 4 pieces all about the same size, and I have those going out in all the different directions. Now, I wanted it to look like a snowflake that has like the little, you know, rays coming off of it. I was trying to determine if I could fit 2 on each one, and I can. The only problem is that I kind of, you know, put the 3 on the bottom and the 3 on the top a little close to each other, so it does get a little bit crowded, but I just kind of cut them short and made it work. You kind of have to be careful though, because if you cut the little pieces of rope too small, they'll start to unwind. And if that happens, you can always kind of glue it back to each other. But I'm trying not to mess with them too much before I just glue them down. And so you can see the little pattern that I'm doing here. Kind of like a double arrow pattern there on my snowflake. And then I want to go ahead and do that with the other 5 parts of our snowflake. This DIY was so easy to put together, and it looks like so high end. It looks so expensive, the final product. And I just made it for a couple of dollars. So this is where I started noticing that I was a little crowded down here. So that's when I started cutting some smaller pieces to make it fit. And that's what I mean by gluing the pieces together if they start to unwind a little bit. Because you can only cut this so short without it unwinding a little bit. But I needed them to be a little bit shorter so that we could get them to fit. And then we're just going to go ahead and do the other side here on the bottom. I thought about adding 2 more rays to this and making it like an 8-sided since I was kind of off on my measurements on the sides. But then I decided that would be even more crowded. So we're just going to leave this like a 6-sided snowflake. So that's where we are so far. And then I'm just going to keep doing the same thing. I'm going to do the same thing here on the top. Kind of starting in the middle that time, so I kind of had a little bit more room to work with that, and then doing the 2 on the sides. And this is basically all we're going to do for this DIY. I don't think it needs any kind of more decor. You could always add like a seashell or something to yours. I thought about adding like a sand dollar to the middle, but I kind of liked it as is, so I kind of left it alone at this point. But this is a great sign because it's really heavy duty, so I can like use it as a shelf sitter to sit on my shelf, or I can hang it on the wall, no problems. All right, just finishing that up. Basically lots of cutting and lots of hot gluing down, and you have a little rope snowflake. I think it's so cute. I love doing anything I can with Dollar Tree rope. I think it always looks really nice and coastal, and I think this looks great for winter. That's kind of how it would look if I would have added like another row to it. I contemplated it. It would have looked good, but I decided against it. So this is our final product, a little 6-sided rope snowflake. This was so much fun. I think it's kind of a no-brainer to use that white rope from the Dollar Tree to make a snowflake. Really fun. You don't have to have any specific winter items from the Dollar Tree. And again, you could do this on any sign, any kind of Dollar Tree sign. But I do kind of prefer that heavy-duty signs that I can get at Goodwill sometimes. Even though my Goodwill doesn't tend to have the great sales anymore. I wanted to make a snowman, but I wanted to be super creative. So I'm going to use 3 of these little ship wheel photo frames. These are from the summer. I was able to find these at my store. I've noticed that like at my stores, when they don't sell all of the summer stuff, they put it back like in the party section. So that's a tip to look for stuff if you want to buy stuff off season. But I thought these were round, and so they kind of look like round for snowmen, right? So we can do something fun. So just taking the backs off of all of those, and I am just taking out the little staples or prongs that hold the back on the frame. And the back frame of those was actually wood, which was kind of nice. We're not going to use those, but I'll probably save those for another DIY. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint these. I'm just using a makeup sponge from the Dollar Tree and white acrylic paint. I'm just going to go over these a couple of times to get really good coverage. I thought we could put all 3 of them together and make it look like a fun, like coastal snowman. It's going to be kind of abstract. It's not going to have like a face and lots of detail, but I think it turns out really cute. Okay, so I am just going to give those a quick dry and do another coat of white all over. And I want to kind of overlap these a little bit. I was trying to decide which ones I should do on front. I kind of want it to be weighted evenly so that I can stand this up. I kind of tried it like that. I end up using the middle one on the top though. I do want them to have some kind of a background though, so I'm going to use some of this white burlap. I got this on Amazon, but I think it actually shipped from Walmart. And I'm just going to use the back for reference, and I'm going to cut 3 pieces out a little bit larger than the back so that I can attach those to the back of the little ship wheels. So once I get those all on there, I'm just going to cut those all out. And I'm just going to hot glue these to the back of the ship wheel. It's going to give me a really great texture. It's going to make the ship wheels a little bit, see-through. But I like the white burlap. I think that's really pretty. So I'm just making sure it fits on there. I'm just going to do a bead of hot glue just thinly around the inside of the ship wheel. Just gluing that onto the back. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other two. I've never DIY'd with these ship wheel frames before. I've never known what to do with them, but I'm glad I came up with this idea. I hope that you guys enjoy it as well. And don't forget to hit that like button. Always helps the YouTube algorithm. And don't forget to comment your favorite DIY or just say hello in the comments below. I always love reading all of your all's kind words. Okay, so we've got the burlap on the back of all of our ship wheel. And we can start putting this little snowman together. So this is how I end up doing it. I end up leaving the middle ship wheel on top. I'm going to glue down the little pieces. These do have a top and the bottom. As you can see, there's like a little base on the bottom part. So I'm using that down on all of them. But gluing that top one to the bottom too. And it gives me a nice snowman shape. Now for a scarf, I'm going to use one of these pretty microfiber washcloths from the Dollar Tree. They're nice and fuzzy and a beautiful color of beachy blue. They're not quite long enough, but we're going to make it work. These are going to go great with the other winter DIYs that I've already made using the same fabric. It's going to make them coordinate nicely. And then this color goes great with a coastal decor, but you could always use whatever color your house is decorated in. So just cutting a strip, and I'm also going to cut the little seam off the ends. So it's going to give us a nice little soft fuzzy scarf for our snowman. Now, as you can see, it's not quite long enough to go like around like a traditional scarf. But the thing is, you're not going to be able to see the scarf in the back. And so I think we can kind of fake it a little bit by pulling this one down in the front and then kind of overlapping it with this short little piece. And I think it's going to be fine. I thought about making it longer, but I think this works. So I'm just going to glue that to the back. And now our little snowman has a scarf. Now he needs a hat. So I thought we could make a little snowman hat with some of these jumbo popsicle sticks. I get these at Walmart, I think. And I'm going to use 3 for the hat and 1 for like the brim of the hat. So I love working with these because they're so easy to cut to whatever size you want with just a pair of scissors. So I'm going to cut 3 down for the hat. And then I'm going to use 1 for the brim like that. I decided that hat might be a little tall, so I'm going to trim them down a little bit smaller. And there's the top of our hat, and then we're going to cut the other one to be like the brim of the hat. Just like that, just a perfect size hat for this. And then just using hot glue, I'm going to glue the brim to the hat. That's also going to glue all the pieces together and make a little hat for our snowman. At first, I thought about covering it with that blue washcloth fabric, but I decided that I wanted to paint it, distress it, kind of make it look driftwood-like. So I'm using some ivory acrylic mixed together with some Antique Wax by Waverly to give myself a nice base coat. And the popsicle sticks are so easy to paint. And then I'm going to take some Antique Wax by Waverly and just working in one direction, I'm just going to distress it lightly, kind of giving a little bit of a weathered wood tone. And now we have a little hat. So I'm just going to hot glue this on his head, like a little bit tilted to the left. And I'm not going to do a face or arms or anything like that. I kind of want this kind of as abstract as possible so you can kind of still see that we're using ship wheels and that this is a really unique little snowman. Now to make it stand up, I'm going to use some of those little mini Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to glue 1 on each one of those handles, not going all the way to the bottom because I want it to stand up good. So you want it to slightly lean back just a little bit so it's stable and doesn't turn over. But this is how it turned out, our little ship wheel snowman. Talk about unique, right? Very unique. And so that's how he's going to stand up with a little stand that I made. And let me show you how he looks on my console table in my entryway. And I think he is so creative and cute. And it was actually a good use for those little ship wheel photo frames. I always pick those up in the summer, and then I often struggle trying to figure out what to do with them, but I thought this was a really creative idea for a coastal snowman DIY. This is that snowman wreath form from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to give it a beachy makeover using some Dollar Tree rope. So this is the one that we are going to use. It's the 8-foot brown nautical rope. And this project is so easy. We are just simply going to line. It's got two wreath forms you see, one inside the other. And so we're just going to hot glue the rope onto each one of those. So I'm going to start it here at the neck. I think that's a good place to start seam-wise. And then we're just going to glue this all around the side. I'm working on a silicone mat, and so that helps any of the hot glue that this isn't sticking to anything. It's going to be easy to remove. So if you're not, be careful with this step. And just gluing it all around. I'm going to go ahead and just continue this piece. Once I get to the top here, because as you can see, we're going to have a little bit of overlap going on there anyway when the head part of the snowman comes into play. And just gluing this all around, and I can then cut it once I get to the top of this circle. And that took pretty much a whole package of that. And we're just going to secure that with hot glue. You could also do this with the white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree as well. I'm going to kind of hot glue the end and kind of blend that in more to the top. But I plan to add a scarf anyway, which is going to kind of cover up some of that area. I've seen so many cute DIYs with these little snowman wreath forms. I love all of them. I think they're so cute. I love snowmen. They've always been part of my winter decor for sure. And I love that you can leave them up like all the way to like Valentine's Day, right? And so we're doing the same thing here for the head of the snowman. Gonna do the outer one first. And once I get that all secure, I can go around on the inner one. If you had like a larger rope, you might not have to do 2 rows. You might be able to do just one. But with the Dollar Tree, it definitely took 2 rows of this. And there's our little nautical rope snowman, and then we just need to decorate him a little more. I'm going to go ahead and use a lighter to burn off all the fuzzies here, just to make it look a little bit nicer. And I have this one hanging up this year. I absolutely love it. I think it's so fun. I wanted to do the arms, and so I switched to the thinner brown rope from the Dollar Tree for the arms. You'll see I actually end up adding to this, but it's fine as is. I'm just going to glue a piece, the length of it, and then glue 2 shorter pieces of rope, like for the little snowman hand. I end up adding coral to this, which not really necessary, but I really liked the beachy touch. You'll see here in a little bit. And if you didn't want to do this part, you could always remove the arms and add some of the wire jute from the Dollar Tree. That would work really well too. But since the rope on this was pretty thick, it kind of looks like the arms need to be kind of thick as well. Now this is what we're going to use for the hat and scarf. It's one of the light blue baby blankets from the Dollar Tree. I love working with this stuff. It's so easy to cut. It's like a felt. It's super soft. And it is the perfect beachy color. So I'm just going to cut, I'm going to double it up so you can't see that reform behind the fabric. And I'm just going to cut a little rectangular piece that is the size of the hat. And you could always mix this up, whatever. I think burlap would look really cute too if you were using like the white rope for the snowman. And I'm just going to kind of leave the seam part of the blanket on there and have that be the top part of the hat. And it's going to give me a nice finished edge. But again, this is felt, super easy to cut, and it doesn't fray. Gets a little trickier right here because I kind of have to cut a little bit of an arc. And I got that trimmed down to size. So now we can just glue that on. I just put hot glue all over the wreath form and glue the baby blanket down. Now I also need to do a brim of the hat. So again, I'm just going to use that baby blanket, and I am going to go ahead and use the seam that's already on there. I'm going to double it up like I did before so you can't see through it. Nice thick piece of fabric, and just cut off a little brim. Just trimming that up to make sure that it looks perfect, and then we're just going to attach that with hot glue, and we have a quick, easy little hat for our snowman wreath. Now, I wanted to give it some beachy decor, so I'm giving it one of these little sand dollars I get on Amazon, available in my shop, but you can always use the one from the Dollar Tree. It's a tiny bit bigger. And then I thought, you know, I have to use some of these little coral trees from the Dollar Tree for the arms. I just have to. So I'm just going to break off the end of the, the trunk of the tree, because I really think these look like coral. Now, I could have removed the arms and added these, but it probably wouldn't have been as strong. So I'm just going to add them to what I've already got. But again, this part's optional if you've already used all of your coral ornaments from making my coral wreath and my coral Christmas tree. I love both of those this year. They're so much fun. If you haven't seen those, you'll have to go check out those videos. I did both of those this year. So I'm just going to hot glue one ornament onto each side, and we have little coral arms for our little coastal winter snowman. I think this is so fun, and it was so easy to put together. Now the only thing I have left to make with this baby blanket is a scarf. So I'm just going to cut a strip, again using the seam. Always using the seam to my advantage there to get a straight line, and just a simple strip. Then we're just going to wrap that around his neck like a scarf, and just gluing that on so it stays in place. Now you can use this indoor or outdoor. I use it indoor, but it would totally hold up outside as well, I think. The felt might get a little dirty depending on if you have a porch or not, but this is how it turned out. This is on the door to my garage. I think it's so fun. And definitely a fun way to DIY those wire reforms. Sometimes they can be a little challenging trying to figure out exactly what to cover them with, but when all else fails, I usually turn to the Dollar Tree rope. I love it for crafting. Now this sign, I'm actually using a thrift flip sign. I thought this would be perfect. I had actually used it for another project, and so I just go over it in some white just to kind of give myself a blank surface on that one. And then I'm going to use one of these little snowflake wood signs from the Dollar Tree, just patching the hole in top with a little spackle, and then we're going to paint it. I wanted it to be a real soft blue, so I mixed like half Caribbean blue, half ivory together. Got this real icy blue color, and simply going to paint this little snowflake. I liked this one because it's kind of solid. There's lots of area that I can make this look like a hand-painted sign, something really fun for winter that you can leave up all winter, not just for Christmas. So that's kind of the theme of all of these. They're all going to be kind of winter, but with a coastal spin. And so I'm just getting a good coat on there, and I'm just going to use a white paint pen, like a Sharpie white paint pen, and try my best to freehand this. I'm going to try to do like a Rae Dunn font for these letters. And then I might mix it up a little bit here towards the bottom. But if you're not confident doing it, freehand, you can always use your Cricut. But I thought this saying was so funny for this. Sand is the new snow. So I'm just going to touch it up a little bit and make it look good. And then I'm going to use some of these little wood snowflakes from the Dollar Tree to kind of decorate the snowflake a little bit further, give it a little bit more fun touch. And I'm just using a makeup sponge and some white, and simply painting those. And I'm just going to attach those. I thought about doing a snowflake on each little point of the snowflake, but I decided less was more, and I'm only going to do 4. One on the top, bottom, and both sides. And now I'm going to add this thin Dollar Tree sign to this thrift flip sign that I just painted white. And I'm just going to attach it with hot glue. And you could do this on any other kind of sign. You could do it from a Dollar Tree sign, a thrift flip sign, whatever you've got. But it's going to make that Dollar Tree snowflake look way more high-end and thicker. And then I thought it just needed a bow. So I'm going to take some Dollar Tree burlap ribbon and cut it in half. And we're just going to make a super simple X bow. I got some of this ivory ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It's like a lace ribbon. And then some of this light blue ribbon from the Dollar Tree with the snowflake pattern on that. It's going to go perfect with the sign, I think. And then we're just going to cinch it all together with a zip tie. Easy peasy. I like an easy bow. And just secure that in the back. And then I can trim that off. And I'm going to trim the ribbon a little bit too, make it look a little bit better. Super cute. So I thought this would be cute kind of like on the side. So I'm going to glue it to this one here, this part of the snowflake. And then I thought the final beachy touch on this would be really cute, would be to add a sand dollar. These are the smaller ones I get on Amazon. They're available in my shop below. You could always use the larger ones from Dollar Tree. But this is how it turned out. I love the saying, sand is the new snow, and it's a fun, whimsical way to use these like little wooden snowflake signs from the Dollar Tree. I think since they have like a solid back on there, it's just a great way to display like words or a sign like this. Okay, this project, I wanted to do a big sign to go in my entryway. Now, I only could find one of the little snowflake long signs from the Dollar Tree, but that's okay. I still had two of the pumpkin ones left over from fall, but you know what? We are going to make this work. I wanted to do a big, like, let it snow sign by putting all three signs together, and that's going to allow me to make a really big project, but using supplies from the Dollar Tree. So I kind of lined it up with the openings of the pumpkins down, the snowflake up. And then I'm just going to use some of these Dollar Tree rulers for braces on the back of the sign. And put it all together. Then I was like, wait a minute. No, I don't want it like that. I'm going to cover up the pumpkin cutouts, of course. And I'm going to leave the snowflake cutout. And so I'm trying to get it exactly the way I want it. And then I'm just going to put them all together with the ruler and some hot glue. Easy peasy. It's going to give us a great big sign. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here on the other side using the flat side of that ruler. And while I'm back here, I'm going to go ahead and make a hanger out of some twine. And using the width of that wood and my stapler, I can just staple that on. Usually the staples go right through those Dollar Tree signs, but that made it thick enough. So this is how it looks right now. I have a snowflake sign over on the right there, you see. And we are just going to paint this a nice beachy blue. So I want it to all be the same color though. And I thought that if I painted that all the black would be way darker than the blue one, you know what I mean? So I'm going to go over it all with a coat of white first to give myself a blank canvas. I wanted to make a let it snow sign using one of these little wood let it snow signs from the Dollar Tree, just filling in the hole on that with some spackle. And you know I don't want it to snow. I never want it to snow. So I'm going to add to it. You'll see. And I just want to paint this white because I'm going to do the big sign in like a light beachy blue. I love the white on blue for beachy signs, and just using a makeup sponge and some white going all over and sponging that on makes it look nice and snowy. Easy peasy. And then we can go ahead and paint this sign. I am doing Caribbean blue, just acrylic paint. And I'm just going to go all over this big sign. The sign is so big, I can't get it all in my camera shot here on my workbench. But I'm just going to go ahead and work on half at a time here. And since I went in with that white coat first, the acrylic is covering pretty well. Now my plan is to cover up the pumpkin parts with some seashells. and then leave the little snowflake part out. If you can find enough of the snowflakes ones, you wouldn't have to cover up the little pumpkins, of course. Now, I kind of wanted to do a slight ombre effect, so I added some ivory to the Caribbean blue for this side, so we can kind of have that medium color of Caribbean blue fade into this really light color. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm doing both colors kind of today for these DIYs, and I want that to kind of coordinate together. So the largest piece is going to kind of have both. Then I mix both the colors together here in the middle and do a slight ombre effect, so it'll change in color from the top to the bottom of the sign. Just blending that with a makeup sponge. Now we're going to go to Cricut Design Space, and we're going to add to that Let It Snow, because you know I can't have it let it snow, right? So this is how I do it. If you're not real familiar with Cricut Design Space, I always like to put like a rectangle or a square first. That is exactly the size that I need it to be, which I measured on the sign. And that way my word will fit perfectly. And we are just going to make a stencil. I love using my Cricut to make stencils. It's probably the number one thing I use my Cricut for. If you don't have a Cricut, you could always do this with like the little letter stickers from the Dollar Tree. But this way I can do a nice custom somewhere else, because you know I don't want to let it snow, right? Then I delete the rectangle. And then I can go ahead and cut this out. This is going to be longer than your regular like 12 by 12 mat, but that's okay. I'm going to use my longer mat and some of the stencil vinyl that I get on Amazon. It's always linked below in my shop. My stencil vinyl and my paper transfer paper, you'll see me here use in a minute. I love it. It's like the best that I've found. And I'm just going to simply weed that out. And this is the paper transfer paper. It comes in like a 6-inch roll and a 12-inch roll. I have both and I use both. I might use the 6-inch more, which is this one. And we're just going to attach that to our stencil. And I love my Cricut. I actually got my Cricut like 2 years ago, I guess now. For my husband and son for Christmas. It is a wonderful Christmas present. If you want any gift ideas for yourself that you can hint to your family, a Cricut is definitely a great gift. So I'm going to go ahead and put that here on the bottom part of my sign and secure that down. And I'm just using a makeup sponge and some white paint, and we're going to make it say somewhere else down here. And I really kind of like the spongy effect. It kind of makes it look a little bit more like snow. And I'm not too worried about bleeding because I always like that coastal beachy feel, especially on my hand-painted signs. But I go over it with 2 coats to make sure that's nice and white against the blue. And we can peel off the stencil. Super fun. If you didn't want to do a hand-painted sign, you could always cut it out of just Cricut vinyl and put the Cricut vinyl on there as well. Saves you a step. And then I'm just going to go through and weed out the rest of the vinyl. Sometimes I use Mod Podge first before I do the paint. That way if anything bleeds, it's the Mod Podge, but sometimes I have problems with that. Sometimes it kind of comes out kind of squirrely, but this worked pretty good. I'm also going to distress with some of that white and a chunky brush from the Dollar Tree and make it look nice and beachy. And then I'm just going to use a big seashell that I actually found at the beach to cover up this pumpkin down here. Just attaching it with hot glue, and there's no pumpkin there anymore, right? And then we can attach the Let It Snow sign from the Dollar Tree above the somewhere else, just by adding hot glue to some of the letters. And this sign is so fun. I had to save it for again this year. I'm actually getting ready to hang it right now. I finally got my tree decorated. My tree stand was broken. I had to order a new one off Amazon. I had to wait for it to get here. And now I'm like, oh my gosh. I got my tree up so late, I'm going to want to leave it up all January. It looks so beautiful. And then I'm covering the top pumpkin with the sand dollar you saw there. And then I thought maybe another seashell down here at the bottom would be cute too. Just gluing that on. Now I wanted to frame it because, it's a thin Dollar Tree sign. I didn't want it to look thin. I wanted it to look framed out. So I'm going to use some of this white rope from the Dollar Tree. And we're just going to glue that all around the edges to give us a nice rope frame. This serves two purposes. It gives you a frame, plus it totally adds to like the coastal beachy feel of the sign. And I'm not going to cut it at the corner. I'm just going to bend it and keep going all the way down the side of my sign. I'm sorry this project's so big. I couldn't really zoom out for this. And it goes around 3 sides there. I did cut it so it would be exactly the right length there because there was definitely not enough to go around the 4th side. So I will have to start another package of that white rope to finish off this last side. And that sand dollar is actually a real sand dollar. I get those on Amazon as well. Those are the larger ones that are available in my shop. But I'm thinking the ones from the Dollar Tree might be big enough. Last year when I made this project, I don't think I had any of those left. Now, these are some of the little snowflakes, the wood snowflakes from the Dollar Tree. And I thought it needed a few more snowflakes, so I'm just going to go ahead and paint 2 of those white to add to our sign. And again, the makeup sponge is key. I just finally found some more of those at the Dollar Tree. I was so excited because I was running low. And we're just going to attach those. So we're going to have seashells and snow on this sign. I think it'll be really cute. Kind of one on each side of our sand dollar. And this is how it turned out. It's really big. Let it snow somewhere else. I think it looks so beachy and I love it. I love the saying. And honestly, if I still lived somewhere that it snowed a lot, I would still hang this on my wall because I think snow looks pretty like the first time it falls, but then having to deal with it is just such a headache. Okay, you guys ready for a wreath? I'm going to use just one of these gold wire wreath forms from the Dollar Tree and some of these microfiber mop heads from the Dollar Tree. I think they look fun and snowy for winter. And this, you could use like a thicker wreath for them, like the foam one, but I kind of wanted this to be larger, so I'm using just the single gold one. But you could also use the one that, the wire one that's thicker, because this does turn out very lightweight. Which could be good if you want like a lightweight wreath for your door. I use this indoor just hanging on my wall, so of course I want it to be nice and light. But I just take it and fold the little mop head over and glue it to itself, and it covers quite a bit of the wreath form, as you can see there. Then I'm going to go with a second mop head and do the same thing. I'm going to kind of work with it so it looks round at the end and not like a square, because it's kind of looking like a square so far, right? But just kind of working it together and spacing it out. What we want to do is I want to make this look like a coastal winter, like life buoy or life ring. Because, I think that's a really fun thing to hang on the wall for like coastal decor, but I wanted it to look like snow, so that's why I'm using these mop heads, and 4 of them work perfectly to cover this wreath form. So I got it all together. Now to do the little strap parts on the life buoy, I'm going to use some of this wired burlap from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to go ahead and cut out 4 pieces. And that's going to cover the 4 seams between all the different mop heads and make it look way more finished. And just gluing that to the back and gluing that around. Super easy. Making a life buoy like this or a life ring is super fun. And I love it for a wreath. It's just perfect for coastal decor. Gonna do the same thing here on the second side. And I really liked the fact that I didn't have to cut the mop heads, because these can be really messy when you start cutting them. The fibers all start coming out, but if you don't cut them like this, then you're not going to have any mess. And I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around. just hot gluing it to itself on the back, and that's going to secure it. I'm only gluing it down on the back because I need to have the rest of it a little bit loose so that I can add to the ropes and stuff to this at the end. I guess you could do that at the beginning, but I'm going to go ahead and fish it through after I get all 4 of these secure. And then to make sure it's not going anywhere, I do cut another little piece of the burlap just to secure it on the back. And then I'm just using some Dollar Tree white rope. And I'm going to start the first one by gluing it under the ribbon. And then I'm going to just kind of feed it through all of the rest of them, leaving a little bit extra. That would be the rope on the side of the life ring. What do you guys call these? I know they're called life buoys. I know they're called life rings. I think I always called them like life preservers. I don't know. Comment below. And I go all the way around. This rope was a scrap piece of rope. It wasn't quite long enough, but we're going to make it work. Now, I didn't like the fact that it was, you know, kind of like laying up against it. You couldn't really see it. So I'm going to actually wire the back of it with just some of this wire jute just to make it where I can bend it and mold it and make it kind of stick out where you can see it. If your rope was a little bit longer than my piece, you might not have to do this step. But I'm just going to go around and do that just to make it a little bit more sturdy. I thought that you really couldn't see the rope. So I'm just going to feed it through all of the ribbon like I did before and just attach it to the back of the rope with hot glue. You're not going to be able to see it. And the final product. Okay, it's looking really good. I thought it needed a little bit of color, so I'm going to use some of this blue ribbon from the Dollar Tree that has the little white snowflakes on it that I used on our Santa's New Snow sign. And I'm just going to cut one for each of the little burlap ribbons, and we are just going to glue that on the same way we did the ribbon. It's going to add a little bit of blue to this DIY and really tie it all in together. And this was so easy. This would look great. Even if you had like a lake house or something like that, this would be a great coastal winter DIY. And the great thing about all these projects is that you can leave these up all winter. You don't have to take them down when Christmas is over. And here it is, our final product. It looks really fun hanging on my wall. I have brown walls, so that white really pops, and it looks great for winter. I love this DIY. A little fluffy snow life buoy. I liked this so much that I made a smaller version for a Christmas ornament for my coastal Christmas tree. I think it's just so much fun. Now for the next project, I got this great wood slat sign for half price at Goodwill. It looks like somebody's craft project never got completed, and we are just going to paint this the Caribbean blue. So you could use a Dollar Tree sign for this. You could use a thrift flip sign, something you've already got, whatever. I liked this one because it was slatted. That always kind of gives me a beachy vibe. I like that. A little palette sign. And we're just going to go over the whole thing with Caribbean blue acrylic paint. And then I want to do just another blue with white because I really like that for winter and for beach or coastal DIYs. And so I want to do a white snowflake on top of this. This DIY is going to be super easy. Now, once I get it painted blue, I do want it to look distressed. So I go over it with ivory and a chunky brush from the Dollar Tree, and then wipe off any excess with just a baby wipe to give me that nice coastal feel. And then I'm going to use one of these snowflakes from the Dollar Tree. This is the MDF one. Just fill in the hole from the hanger with some spackle, and we can paint this. Now, I want to kind of take advantage of the fact that it's already brown. So I'm going to do ivory, but as you can see, I'm going to distress it where it's going to be mostly ivory, but I definitely want some of that brown to show through. That way I don't have to go back and distress it for the coastal rustic feel. So I kind of just keep adding to it until I get the right color of white that I want. And I think this is going to look really pretty on the blue sign that we painted. And it's the perfect size. Now this is the other wood snowflake, you know, from the Dollar Tree. This has got all the cutouts, so it's very intricate. And we're just going to attach that to the sign with some hot glue on the back. Now, I did want to give it a little bit more of a beachy vibe. We've got our beachy colors and our coastal distressing, but I thought the perfect final touch would be one of these little starfish from the Dollar Tree, just glued right to the middle of our snowflake. A little unexpected touch, but super cute, and it goes well with it. And this is how it turned out, our little coastal snowflake sign. It was really easy to do, especially if you can find one of these like little snowflake wood signs from the Dollar Tree. They're super easy to pair them with just about anything like this, and you can have a fun little winter sign. I always love the small touches, like little starfish there in the middle. I think that's really fun. Okay, you ready for another snowman? I told you I love snowman. I got this little tinsel snowman from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to take it apart, and then I'm going to remove all of this tinsel because I can't stand it. And I want to make a coastal snowman. This one's going to be a lot different than the reform that we made before, though. This one's probably my favorite. Oh, man, I really love how this one turned out. So I took all three parts apart, and as you can see, I'm just removing all of the ribbon, all of the tinsel, even the eyes and the hat. And then we are going to use some of this white nautical rope, the 6 foot. You could probably use the longer one as well. You're just going to have to wrap it around a little bit more, but I want to cover all the snowman with it, starting in the center of each segment. So I just hot glue that to the center. And then we are just going to spiral that around to make a big circle of rope for this part of the snowman. It turned out really well. And just kind of snake that around. If I do have some cage, I do glue that to it, as you can see. Otherwise, I'm just wrapping it in a circle until it's going to be large enough to cover all of that plastic cage. And I love the way this looks. I think it's so pretty. This would actually be really cute on a door as well. I actually have it hanging in my entryway. I kind of have like a wall that kind of, how do I explain it? It's kind of a diagonal wall, and it like looks perfectly there. Again, against my brown wall. Now you can kind of see these tabs on the side, so I'm just going to trim those off. I don't want you to be able to see anything except for rope. So that was the largest segment. That's like the bottom of the snowman. This part is going to be the middle part of the snowman. And I kind of have to be creative where I start gluing that down because it didn't really have a center. But again, just gluing wherever I have the cage. I'm not really gluing it to itself. I'm just kind of gluing it down to the cage. And then just again, trimming off all of those little peg pieces that were sticking out that were holding the tinsel on there before. But leaving the little hooks on there because I want to be able to hook it back together. Now for the head, we're going to do kind of the same thing. We don't have a full circle, but we do have like a center part here where I can start with the spiral. And again, just gluing it to the cage. I had so much fun decorating this. It turns out so cute. And trying to keep this as symmetrical as I can because I did kind of have to start not exactly on the center there, but kind of hide this part up underneath the hat. And again, I'm going to use some of that baby blanket from the Dollar Tree, the little baby blue blanket. I love this. And I'm just going to cut out a little piece for the hat, double layer it up, use the seam for the top, just like I did on the snowman wreath form. Easy peasy. And just attaching that with hot glue, overlapping a little bit of the snowman's head. And then again, I'm going to use just the seam part and cut a strip, double it up, and make a brim for the hat. It's super easy to cut and does not fray, but you do have to make sure that you get it even there. Glue it to itself, and then I can glue the top part of the hat on here. And if you didn't want to do blue, you know, this would look really cute with burlap or black even, a traditional snowman hat. All right, now it's time to think about decorating the face. I'm going to use seashells. So I got some of these little teeny tiny seashells from the Dollar Tree. I used 2 bigger ones for the eyes, and then 5 tiny ones for the mouth of the snowman. And my favorite is I used one of the little spiral seashells from the Dollar Tree for the nose sticking out. It looks just like a carrot. If you wanted these to be, you know, colored, you could always paint them as well. I kind of wanted the authentic shell feel, so I'm just kind of leaving them all natural. I did kind of pick out kind of matching colors though to themselves. And then for the little buttons to go down the front of the snowman, I thought I would just go ahead and use some seashells as well. And I'm going to go all the way down just for fun. Now I got to just put it back together. I left the little hooks on here so that I could hook it back together. That part's important when you start trimming it, is that you leave that intact. And then I'm just going to use some twine to make a new hanger for the little circle that I left on the top as well. Then it's going to need a little scarf for our snowman as well. So I'm just going to cut a strip like I did before on the snowman wreath for a quick little scarf. And we're just going to kind of tie that around his neck. He kind of has a skinny neck, but that's okay. We can kind of make it work. So cute. Isn't he lovely? I love him. Now he's going to need some snowman arms. So I'm going to use some of this wired jute from the Dollar Tree and cut 2 long pieces for arms and 2 shorter pieces for hands. Just twisting those around. You got to kind of be careful. That twine likes to come off the wire. I always cut mine a little longer if I need to work with it a little bit because I know I'm probably going to have to trim it down. Then I'm just going to attach the arms with hot glue onto the back of this rope part of the snowman. And that's all there is to it. We have a coastal rope snowman for winter. I think he's so sweet. I think the shell for the nose is my absolute favorite. What do you guys think about this guy?
He's actually held up really well. I try to put him out every winter. He's so cute. I love DIYing with those ropes from the Dollar Tree for sure. And I think it's just a really fun snowman.
Now this next DIY is I got one of these little Let It Snow sled signs from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to go ahead and paint over the sled part because I kind of want to do my own thing there. I'm going to leave the Let It Snow on there, even though you know I don't want it to snow. But I used this Caribbean blue paint. It really kind of matched the color that was on the Let It Snow part. Kind of going over enough times to cover up the pattern that was on there. Now I kind of wanted to make it look like sand on the bottom. I'm just using some chalk paint. I think this was the color cashew, and I'm just going to kind of make that look, you know, kind of all beachy like here at the bottom. Lots of curves. You could also glue on sand. That would be really cute for this. I kind of wish that I had when I was looking at it. And I kind of want to do a snowman on there like it was before, but I want to do like a beachy snowman. I'm going to kind of, you know, just do a little ivory here, a little sea foam, kind of do some white caps because this is going to be my ocean scene, if you catch my drift. Kind of make this sled our own for coastal winter.
And I made this for the side of my cabinets in my kitchen. I think it turned out really fun. Of course, with my ocean, I kind of want some different shades of blue, so I do like just kind of pick some different colors that I had. I think this is lagoon, maybe, and just doing some little bit of different shading in the ocean. No big deal. And then I got one of these little wood snowmen from the Dollar Tree, and I thought that could be our snowman. So I'm going to go all over him with just some ivory paint. And wipe off the excess paint because I still kind of want to see the details of the snowman down there so that I can decorate this guy. I'm going to attach him to our sled with a little hot glue, kind of like sitting on the beach, adding some waves. And kind of distressing him a little bit too. I want him to kind of look like a coastal beachy snowman for this little sled. Now I'm just going to use some paint pens and we can kind of decorate this little guy. You can kind of see, you know, the print that was below there with all the details, like the little scarf I'm going to do in this like soft minty green. And I'm also going to do the hat in that color as well to make him look nice and coastal. I love staining or painting these little wood signs from the Dollar Tree. I always throw away the markers if they come with them and just kind of do my own thing. And I'm just going to use a blue marker to draw on the eyes, the mouth, the buttons. He's holding a little bird in his hand, which we can have a little blue, you know, shorebird, right? Kind of color him in. And I'm going to do an orange Sharpie for the little carrot nose. And then I thought I kind of needed to outline him, so I'm just using a blue permanent marker. I think I got this at the Dollar Tree. And I am going all around the edges where I can still see the details of the snowman and kind of coloring that back in. I'm going to distress that bird a little bit to make it look a little bit beefier. And kind of outline him in that like softer blue color. I'm also going to distress where it says let it snow to kind of make it, you know, vibe more with everything else. And you know I don't want it to let it snow, right? So I'm just going to use this is a white chalk marker from the Dollar Tree. I tried that first just because I kind of wanted, you know, a really light, powdery looking. And I just freehand that on in cursive somewhere else. I didn't think it was enough though, so I am going over it with a white paint pen. But that gave me a nice starting place to start with. And just freehand that on there. Easy peasy. That was kind of cursive on the top, so it kind of goes together. And being a perfectionist, I'm going over it one more time until I'm totally happy with it. I know I've got some other perfectionists out there. It's one reason I probably don't sell my crafts is because I don't think a craft would ever be perfect enough for me to want to sell it to somebody, because I would think that, oh, you know, I messed up that little tiny bit there. But when I make stuff for myself or my friends and family, I don't really mind. So I just sealed that on there. I'm going to go over the wood part of the sleigh too and just distress that a little bit to make it look a little bit more coastal with just a lighter color of brown. Just to lighten that up a little bit. And as you can see, I left the hanger on there, so I don't really need to replace that at all. And it wasn't in my way. And then since it's at the beach, I thought, you know, we have to have some seashells. So I'm just going to use some seashells from the Dollar Tree, just trying to pick out what I think is going to look good, some different colors and variety, and we're just going to attach those to the sled with some hot glue. This was a really fun DIY to put together. It's not super professional. If you wanted it to be a little bit more professional, you could use your Cricut to make some vinyl for somewhere else or to make a stencil, but I was just having some fun with this project for real. Kind of distressing it a little bit more. And there it is, our little Let It Snow Somewhere Else. I thought a bow would be cute here at the top, so I'm using some of that Dollar Tree snowflake ribbon. And I'm just going to tie a simple bow up here, just for another little dose of blue and a few snowflakes to go with the Let It Snow theme. Because we've added a lot of beach to it. And this is how it turned out. This is how it looks on the side of my kitchen cabinet. Super whimsical and fun. Again, not wanting any snow here. No thank you.
I think I'm safe. I think one time, like over 50 years ago, there was like a light snow flurry here, and people here still talk about it.
We're going to start with one of these little wood rounds from the Dollar Tree, and I wanted to try to see if I could make coral snowflakes. I know we have made a coral wreath and a coral Christmas tree, and so I thought we would try snowflakes this time. This is the color I'm going to use. It is Caribbean blue. I just wanted something beachy and blue. And I really almost kind of want to stain this wood round instead of painting it. So I'm just going to put a really thin coat of this acrylic blue all over. And then before it dries, I'm going to try wiping a lot of it off with a baby wipe. That way I can get some of the wood grain to show through, and it kind of adds to the coastal beachy look, I always think. Just want it to look a little bit tinted, less painted. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a really pretty wood grain in that wood. And now let's start building a coral snowflake. These are the little tree ornaments from the Dollar Tree. I love these. I always try to stock up on these whenever I see them. Kind of use them year round because I really think they look like coral. And so we are going to make an 8-pointed, I guess, snowflake for the first one, which is a lot of points. But you know, each snowflake's a little bit different. So this one's going to be, have a lot of different coral pieces sticking out. Now, to make it look like coral, I just like to pop off the little trunk. And I used to cut these off, but I have found that it's made out of plastic. It's just easier just to pop them off. So I'm going to do that on all 8 of them. And that's really the only modification I'm going to do on them. They're white. They have glitter all over them. They're super pretty. And so I'm just going to go ahead and reuse the hanger that came with the wood round. I stocked up on these wood rounds. I got a whole case on dollartree.com, so I don't have to worry about finding them. I love them. And I'm going to start mapping this out. So north, south, east, west, and then we're going to put one in between each one. And then this one's going to be a full one. We're going to do 2 different varieties of these today. And they are a little bit more 3D on one side than the other side, the ornament. So you're going to want to make sure that you have them all go the same way. And then to tie it all together for the center of the snowflake, I thought a sand dollar from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. You could use really anything that was circular, but I thought that was just screaming for a sand dollar, right? And so let's start attaching these. I'm going to use the flatter side down. I first attempt to glue it on both ends, but it's kind of shaped in a way where it's better just to glue the tip where the little hanger is down. And it kind of like makes it stick out a little bit, which is fine. It actually adds to it, but make sure that your glue gets dry before you let go of it, because they kind of want to come off, and really this is the only thing securing it down at this point. So I'm going to do that to all 8 of them. I'm almost going to the edge, pretty close to the edge with all of these. But I also have it where I want to cover up all those holes in the little coral ornaments with the sand dollar, so I want to make sure those are kind of tight in there. Now, the sand dollar from the Dollar Tree, they're really cute. They're plastic. They're not real, but they're kind of a grayish tint for some reason. So I'm going to paint this a nice snowy white to kind of coordinate with that coral, just by doing a couple of thin coats of white acrylic, just making sure if you get any in the little holes that you clean up any drips in there. I almost wanted it to be like white sparkly glitter like the ornaments, but I didn't have any glitter, so I'm gonna improvise with some glossy Mod Podge and just make it shiny and white. That'll kind of make it go well. Just to kind of make it match the coral. And my first idea was to do this without like the wood round behind it. And I'm sure you could do it. I just thought it might be sturdier this way, and then I could do a punch of color behind the snowflake. But I'm curious if any of you guys make this without the wood round behind it. You just connect the ornaments to the sand dollar. Oh, please post it in my Facebook group. I would love to see it. And even if you make these, I want to see them in my Facebook group. Please show me. I love to see your all's different takes on my DIYs. Now, my first attempt is just to put a little glue on each one of the hangers, but that did not really line up very well with the sand dollar. It really wasn't glued on there. So I'm going to do hot glue all around the edges of it where it kind of sits down more, and then sit that on there, and that worked. And there it is. We have a little snowflake made out of coral. I think it's so fun. I thought the hanger was a little boring and it needed something, so I'm going to use some of this ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I think it kind of looks like fishing net. And I'm just going to take a little piece of it that had left over from another DIY and just tie that onto the hanger with some twine. And that's it, basically. I'm going to cut off the excess twine and just have that kind of hang down on each side of the hanger. I thought it just added a little something coastal and nautical to our little snowflake. And I love how this one turned out. I was thinking if you did a whole bunch of these, you could have them like snowflakes falling down your wall. It'd be really cute. But this is how it looks on the side of my cabinet in my kitchen.
And you guys know I'm always trying to find a way to craft those little coral tree ornaments from the Dollar Tree. I stock up on these every year because there's so many fun things you can make with them. I want to do a separate version of this in a different color scheme to see how that looks too.
Okay, so let's try a different variety. I thought I really loved that one, but I wanted to try like a different size, different shape ornament with different colors to see if we like this one better. So again, I'm using one of those wood rounds from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to pop the hanger off. For this one, I wanted to stain it. I'm going to use Antique Wax by Waverly, but I don't want it to be too dark. I kind of want it to look more like driftwood. So I'm going to mix like Antique Wax by Waverly with some water to kind of give myself a more thin stain. And going to go all over the wood round with that, with just a thin coat of that. Just kind of working quickly because I don't want it to dry. Once I get it all on there, I'm going to wipe off all of the excess Antique Wax by Waverly with a baby wipe, and hopefully we'll have a very light stain here. Now this did make the board really wet because I watered it down, of course. So I did have to dry this for a little bit, but look at that beautiful wood grain and that Dollar Tree sign. Sweet. I love it. And you could distress it a little bit more if you wanted it to look a little bit more coastal beachy driftwood. But I kind of wanted to see what the snowflake would look like on like a wood background. So again, we're just going to reattach the hanger that came with the wood round. I love these. They're so ready to work with. And then for this one, we're going to use the same ornaments, the little tree ornaments, but this time we're going to do a 6-sided snowflake to see how that looks. Again, I'm just popping off the little trunks on all 6 ornaments, and we can start lining this one up. I got the idea to do the different like 6 and 8 because like the MDF snowflakes from the Dollar Tree that I have are different. There's like a 6 one, there's like an 8 one. So this one's not quite as busy. It's a different shape, but I like it. I think it's going to look cool. So just kind of figuring out where everything needs to be on here, and then we can put this little snowflake together as well. Again, a little sand dollar from the Dollar Tree, a little bit gray, so we're just going to paint that one again. I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did on the first one. Going to do a couple coats of white acrylic, and then we're going to finish it off with some glossy Mod Podge to make it sparkle. Hey guys, I would love to thank you guys for being here today and watching this video. I appreciate y'all so much. And don't forget to hit that like button. And when you're done watching, comment your favorite DIY below. I did not number them today, but I'm sure you can remember what your favorites are. I would love to hear it, or you can just come say hi. I love reading all your all's comments below. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. So again, I just glued all of those little ornaments down in the middle using the hanger part. And then gluing all around the edges of the sand dollar. We are going to glue that one down as well. And I can't decide which one I like better. Which one do you guys like better? The 8-sided on the blue or the 6-sided on the wood? I think they're both beautiful in their own way. I can't really decide. In the hanger, again, I think it's kind of boring. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the first one. I'm just going to take some of that ribbon from the Dollar Tree that kind of looks like fishnet. And we're just going to simply tie that to the top with some twine. I have these hanging together right now on the side of my cabinet, but I think that I will move them around, kind of see where I want. I don't really want this one to be on my walls because my walls are brown. I think it'll kind of blend in. Maybe that would be cool though. But this is how this one turned out.
You'll have to let me know which one you like better. I think I like the one with the blue background better. I know, a big shocker. I love blue anything. It's like always been my favorite color ever since I was a little kid and way before I even lived at the beach.
Okay, next DIY. I wanted to make some fun little stocking hats is what I call them. I think a lot of people call them beanies, little winter hats. But I wanted to do it with like a coastal feel. So using one of these wood ovals that I got at the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree, I am just going to measure half, and what I'm going to do is just cut it in half with my saw. That way I have two of them, and I think they kind of look like a beanie shape. So we're going to make a couple of little stocking hats. Now, these are the little microfiber washcloths from the Dollar Tree. They're this beautiful, like minty green blue color. I think that's really coastal and beachy looking. And they're nice and fuzzy. They're that microfiber. I thought we could cover one of these with that to be the stocking hat material. And they fit, like this little shape fits nicely, like in just 1/4. I'm just going to use a chalk marker to kind of draw that on there so I'll know where to cut. And I kind of want to cut it a little bit bigger than it so that I can wrap the sides around. It's not a very thick piece, but there are a little bit of sides on that little wood block. So I just cut that out. I kind of want to do the fuzzy side up on this one to make it look super cozy. And I'm going to go ahead and cut off the bottom as well. And I do plan to do like a little, the brim of the hat. Is that what it's called with stocking hats? I'm not sure. But I'm going to go through and do Mod Podge, just regular matte Mod Podge. I do 2 layers because I want it to be nice and thick so it'll stick to this material. I did not want to use hot glue because I didn't want the hot glue to soak through the fabric and be visible in the final project. So I got it glued to the front, and now I'm just going to glue it around to the sides. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but like from the sides and the top, I want it to kind of look like it is covered with that fabric as well. I saw so many cute ideas for these, but I thought we could do our own spin on these and try to make a coastal version. So that's why I'm using these coastal colors. Now this is a bath mat from the Dollar Tree, but I thought this like tan shaggy material might be good for a hat. And so I am just going to kind of measure out a little strip of it for the brim of the little stocking hat like that. And I just have to cut out a little strip. So I'm not going to measure, I'm just kind of eyeballing it about how big of a strip I would want. And just cutting that out. It does shed a little bit when you cut it, so just get any of the loose pieces off. And I'm going to kind of do the seam on the bottom where you won't be able to see it, because I want it to look shaggy, and cut that down to size. Now this is nice and thick. I think I can glue this on with hot glue without any of that glue coming through and be visible on the final project. So I glue that down. I glue the bottom to the bottom of the stocking hat. And then I'm going to glue the sides, just trimming them up a little bit. And that one was already glued down, so we are good to go on that. Now I wanted to decorate it with something coastal, so I thought I would use, these are those little craft board cutouts from the Crafter Square at the Dollar Tree, and I picked out some ocean ones here. I think I'm going to do a sea turtle on this one. These are not made out of wood, they're made out of it's kind of like a cardboard material. And I think that's going to be really cute on there with one of these little pom-poms for the top. So I kind of want to go with a blue and white theme. So I'm just using a makeup sponge and carefully painting that little sea turtle white. They are not really, made out of wood. So you kind of have to be careful when you're painting them. They are delicate and I don't want this to fall apart. So I got that painted white. And the little pom-pom, I'm going to put that on the top. And that's just something I had left over from the Target dollar spot. You could always make your own out of yarn. I actually got some pom-pom makers at the Dollar Tree the other day. I need to try them out. I'm just going to cut the yarn hanger that was off on there, and then we can start putting this little guy together. So the first thing I'm going to do is just hot glue the little sea turtle just kind of over here on the left. I thought that would be a cute little touch. And then I want it to stand up, so I'm going to use 2 of those little Jenga blocks from the Dollar Tree and just glue those together and then glue that to the back. This would be really cute on your shelf, on a tier tray, so many uses for these. And then I'm going to glue the pom-pom to the top with just some hot glue and then sticking that down on there. I think this looks so cozy and cute. I love the subtle coastal vibes with the sea turtle and the beachy colors. I think it's so pretty, and this is how it turned out. You can see that microfiber material looks nice and fuzzy, and so does the bath mat material. I think it's really fun.
So just a little stocking hat sign DIY. This would be really cute, like on a winter tier tray or something like that. I just put it on one of my shelves for winter, and it's a fun after Christmas DIY.
Okay, so we have the second half, so let's try to make another one. This one I thought we could use some of this white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree and wrap it around like a rope one, but I want like a thin rope. So what I'm going to do is separate this into thirds. We end up using like 1.5 of the 3 pieces once I get it unwound. And this is like the 6-foot rope, I think. I'm going to start at the top with just a little dot of hot glue and put one of those strands of rope on there. It's a little curly, but it's okay. We're going to wind it around. It's going to kind of straighten it out a little bit. So hot glue just on the first round to get it started, and then the first row, and then we're going to just wrap this around. I'm just trying to kind of push and wrap it as tightly as I can. Kind of give like a rope wrapped look there. Unfortunately, my rope was not long enough, and so I'm going to glue that to the back, and then I'm just going to have to start a new one. And that's going to be on the back, so it won't be real visible anyway. And I'm just going to work around a little bit more. I'm not going to go all the way down, though. I'm going to go to right about there and then hot glue that to the back after trimming it. Now, again, we're going to use some more of those microfiber washcloths. This time, I thought I would use it for the brim of the hat. That way, both the hats are going to coordinate together really well. I can display them together, and they're going to look nice together. But I'm going to cut out a bigger piece than I need because this is a lot thinner than the bath mat. So I thought we could like quadruple it up maybe. So I'm just cutting like a little rectangular size, cutting the seams off both sides. I'm going to leave the seam on one side, that's fine. And then I'm just going to fold it, fold it, fold it until I get a nice thick piece of fuzzy microfiber for the hat. And then I'm going to hot glue it together. I've got so many layers, you're not going to be able to see that through it. And then I'm going to hot glue that on to our little rope hat. I can't decide which one I like on these either. I love them both. They're so cute. I think they're really cute together. And then I'm just going to glue the sides to themselves and then to the hat. And again, I thought we use one of these little sea creature craft board. This time I'm going to use the little seahorse one. I think he's so cute. Now be careful before you glue him on. Sometimes you have to pop out some of the pieces that are still in there. I'm going to kind of hot glue him over to the side. Not going to paint him. I'm going to leave him that nice brown color. I think it's going to be a cute contrast to the hat. And then again, I'm going to use 2 of the Jenga blocks. This one I'm going to have to attach a little bit differently. To the back, I'm just going to glue them kind of end to end. And then glue that on to the wood on the back of the beanie. I kind of like calling them a beanie, but we usually call them stocking hats in our house. My son just actually had to buy one when we were going to West Virginia because we had nothing. We were going to be frozen. So again, I have another one of those pom-poms from the Target dollar spot, and we're going to hot glue that to the top of our little stocking hat. I think these look so coastal and fun. I love the little beachy touches as well. The little sea creatures are so cute. Isn't it adorable? And I really like how the rope turned out. I think it looks really nice for a coastal touch. And it kind of looks like, you know, like a sweater material. And this is the final result. Our little seahorse beanie.
I can't decide which one I like better. I kind of like pairing them in a similar location so they can kind of work together, the contrasting colors. But either option, I think, is a really fun little winter DIY for you.
Okay, our next DIY, I thought we'd use some of these adorable little wood ice skates from the Dollar Tree. You get 2 together. And just make a cute little winter sign. I'm going to use one of those little galvanized metal signs from the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. It's kind of like the slatted design. And I thought we could do something cute with this. Something that's going to coordinate with the little stocking hats that we just made. So I don't really have to do anything to that metal background. It is good and ready to go. But I thought we could like kind of layer up the little ice skates kind of like that. They have the design where they're kind of like on opposite sides, but that's okay. We're going to do our own thing on these anyway. So I'm just going to use heat and a putty knife and just pop off that snowflake on there because it's kind of in my way on this one. The other one I'm not going to worry about. I'm just going to leave it there. I thought about drilling holes in there to do laces, but I decided that might be a little much. Again, we're going to use one of those microfiber washcloths from the Dollar Tree. It's going to make this tie in well with the other 2 DIYs we just used with this. And we're going to cover the skate material with that. Now for the blades and the bottom of the skates, I kind of just wanted them to be stained. I thought about doing silver, but I kind of liked the rusty feel of the brown. So we're just going to use some antique wax by Waverly and then wipe off the excess with a baby wipe. It's going to give us that nice light stain. I think it's going to go well with the different colors that we're using on these DIYs. So my plan is just to cover the skates with this material. So I am just going to use an ink pen. I couldn't find my chalk marker. I don't know what I just did with it. And I'm just going to kind of draw on where the boot would be. Just enough where I can cut that out. Now I'm going to double that up so I can go ahead and cut both at the same time. Now doing it this way by folding it, you're going to get 2 different textures. One's going to be the back of the washcloth and one's going to be the front. So one's going to be fuzzy and one's going to be not. If you want both of yours to be the same, then don't fold them like I did. I didn't really realize I was doing that, but I kind of liked the final effect, so I went ahead and went with it. So this one is like the fuzzy one. And then the one that's going to be on the inside is not so fuzzy. That's when I realized, girl, what did you do? But we're going to make it work. So I did a pretty good job of cutting it out. It fits on there pretty good. I'm just going to trim it up a little bit and then trim off the top. Now I'm going to attach it with Mod Podge, just doing a nice thick layer of Mod Podge over the skate part and gluing that on. It's pretty forgiving. You can kind of stretch it out if you cut it a little bit too short. And then I'm going to trim it to right underneath the little cuff on the top of the ice skate. Now we're going to do the same thing on this one, except this one's going to look nice and fuzzy. I thought about redoing that, making them both fuzzy, but it's always fun to have a little bit of variety in textures when you're working with a DIY, I think. So I just glued that one down as well. I'm using Mod Podge instead of hot glue again because I don't want any of the glue to come through and damage that microfiber. It works well for fabrics. Now for the top, I thought we could use that bath mat again from the Dollar Tree. We're getting lots of use out of this today to make little fuzzies for the top of the ice skate. So I just cut out a little piece. And then I'm going to cut out 2 little strips, 1 for each ice skate. That's going to help it coordinate well with the stocking hats as well because it has the same kind of material and the same colors. I'm going to go ahead and cover up the holes on the top because I'm not going to hang them. I'm just going to glue them on. So I'm just going to attach that with hot glue, nice and thick material. I can definitely do that. Again, you're going to get a little bit of shedding on those from cutting them. Now, I wanted to give it a coastal touch as well. So again, I'm going to use one of those craft board sea creatures. This time, I thought maybe like a jumping dolphin would be cute. And it kind of looks cute in the brown, but I kind of wanted to keep with the blue and the white theme that I was doing for the little stocking hats and the ice skates. And I'm going to go ahead and paint it white with a makeup sponge. Again, being very careful that I don't get it too wet because I don't want that cardboard to fall apart. These are more fragile than I remember them being. And I'm only going to do one. I'm only going to do one for the little skate that's on top, like it's kind of on the outside of the skate. And I'm just going to attach that with a little bit of hot glue. Super cute. I've had this for a while. I don't know why I haven't been using them very much. Okay, so now we can start putting this together. I'm going to attach it to the little galvanized metal sign with hot glue along the top of the skate. So I'm going to put glue just there on that top part and glue that to like one of the parts of the metal that's sticking up there so it'll catch it. And then we're going to kind of stagger this second one on top a little bit. Again, just gluing this top part. I tried gluing them to each other there at the bottom. Didn't really work too much because they have different sizes. So I'm going to add more hot glue here to the top to make sure this stays on. I love it. I think it's looking super cute. Again, I'm going to use some of that ribbon from the Dollar Tree. This is the one that kind of looks like fishnet. And I just had some extra pieces of that. I'm just going to tie that around the top to kind of give the appearance of a little fishnet hanging down. Had a little bit of free space over here, and I thought this would make a cute little bow. And then I thought seashells. So I'm going to use some of these little tiny seashells that you get in the little clear glass bottles from the Dollar Tree. And we are just going to glue some on here to give some more coastal beachy touches to this DIY. I think this turned out really sweet and cute, and it looks so good with the little stocking hats. So I'm just picking out different styles of seashells, kind of in the same color scheme, and gluing them on there. Now, I didn't do laces, so I'm going to use some of this baker's twine or this twine from the hardware section at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to do a bow. I thought about doing laces, but at this point, I thought it was going to be too much trouble, so I'm just going to do a bow for the top of one of the skates, just the one that's on top, just add a little fun, and I just glued that to the top where the laces would be laced up. And this is how it turned out. I think it's super cute. I love the fuzzy fabrics and all the different textures and materials. And I think it's really cute for winter.
And of course, I appreciate the little coastal details. This would be a really easy one to modify though. Just make it straight winter decor. I just love those little skates. I think they're so sweet. I'm terrible at ice skating, but I love the idea of it, right?
Okay, it's our last DIY. This one I thought, let it snow. We can remake this. I'm going to use some of these new galvanized metal snowman stakes. I just found those at the Dollar Tree the other day. They got them in kind of late, I think. And I think we can make this a Julie approved project. No, let it snow. This isn't going to work. So I'm just going to use different shades of blue and I am just painting over that. No rhyme, no reason. I probably should have texturized it a little bit with something to cover up the glitter from the scarf and the hat because I was having trouble covering that. I just kept doing different layers of blue just to kind of make it look like the ocean and the sky. Really no rhyme or reason. I was just trying to cover all of that up that was on there before. Kind of do a little bit of a horizon line if we can. And again, you can still kind of see the texture of the glitter, but once we decorate it, I think it's going to be okay. Now for the bottom part, we don't want snow, no way. So we're going to do sand. So I'm going to do a nice thick layer of school glue, kind of in a wavy pattern here at the bottom. And then some of this white sand from the Dollar Tree. It's nice and got a little bit of sparkle in there too. And we're going to replace the snow with sand. This is going to be a coastal beach approved snow globe. But I did like the shape. That's why I started with the sign. Now to get the sand to stick, I'm going to use some of the spray adhesive from the Dollar Tree and glue that down. And then some of the sand that fell off, I'm going to do a second layer of sand so that you can't see through it. And again, a little bit more of that spray glue to make sure that everything stays put. That really works really well for sand projects for me. Aren't these cute? They had lots of different ones too. And I got some new like galvanized metal Christmas trees and different stuff like that. They just got them in at one of my big Dollar Trees. I've never seen them before. Now, the stake on the back was really on there. It wasn't like easy to pop off like with your hand, like some of them that I've seen. So I'm just going to use some pliers and kind of work that back and forth until I have two little galvanized metal snowmen. I thought these would be really cute to decorate, and replacing that big one that was in there with maybe two smaller ones. That's going to go, I think the galvanized metal goes well with a coastal vibe. And it's going to kind of coordinate with that last DIY that we just did, where we did the galvanized metal sign. And I'm just going to attach both of those to our snow globe sign with lots of hot glue. Anytime you glue to the sand, you have to use a little bit more hot glue, but I'm only gluing the bottom parts of those to the sand. Then I thought we should have some sea creatures out there, so I'm going to use some of these little shore living dolphins from the Dollar Tree that they had this summer. And I'm going to take two of the little dolphins jumping and just painting those white, again with a makeup sponge. You could always use the little dolphins from the Crafter Square, the little craft board ones that we've been using as well if you don't have any of these. But I thought a few dolphins jumping out of the water from behind the snowman would be really cute. So I'm just going to attach both of those with a little dot of hot glue. Now to border out the frame, I thought some of this white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree would be really cute, just for the border around the snow globe. So I'm just going to use it as is, and we're going to start gluing that on there. I'm going to go ahead and put some twine back on there for a hanger while I can, because this is probably going to glue that over there. I kind of tied it too long, so I'm going to tie it a little bit shorter. But this would be a really cute standing project as well if you don't want to hang it. And I'm going to start right here at the bottom, and I'm going to start hot gluing that rope frame all around our snow globe. I think this really ties it in, and it makes the project look a lot more thick than the thin Dollar Tree sign. I always hate how thin the signs are. I always want my DIYs to be a little bit more substantial. I'm going to cut it off when I get to the bottom here and glue that down. Now, the only problem is it says let it snow. So we're going to replace that with some of this craft wood from the Dollar Tree. It's about 18 inches long, so we're going to cut it in half. We're going to have 2 9 each pieces of this rather thick craft wood from the Dollar Tree. And it's going to be a nice thickness. It's going to be the same thickness as the rope. It's going to make this look really nice. So we're going to kind of pair those up side by side there at the bottom. The only problem is they're a little bit too skinny. So I'm going to cut off the little sides where it kind of flares out on that let it snow sign. I tried with scissors, but it was a little too thick. So I'm just using a cutting blade from the hardware section at the Dollar Tree and a Dollar Tree cutting mat. And we're just going to cut that down. Doesn't have to be perfect. You're not going to be able to see it. And now we can attach these little wood pieces to the bottom to create a new sign for our little coastal beachy snow globe. Just going to glue that down to the Let It Snow with hot glue. I use the Gorilla Glue hot glue. I know some of you guys were asking. I get it at Amazon or Walmart. It's in my Amazon shop. I really love it. It works great for wood projects. Now I want it to look kind of coastal and distressed. And so I'm going to use some ivory acrylic and a chunky brush from the Dollar Tree. And just working in one direction, we are going to distress this wood, make it look nice and coastal. I want some of the raw wood to show through, but I also want a nice ivory background for our sign. Kind of distressing on the sides and the bottom as well. Now I want to spell out a new word. I don't want no snow, so I'm going to use some of these galvanized metal letters from the Dollar Tree. You have to be careful when you buy these. You only get half the alphabet, as you can see. Like this one is N through Z, and you get one of each letter. I thought we could put like a fun saying. I'm going to do a snow-free zone. I thought that would be funny. Just trying to find enough E's, and luckily I had enough. Now, these are kind of small, these letters, and so my regular hot glue gun gives a little bit too much hot glue, so I heated up my fine detail hot glue gun, and I am just going to glue those all on. Trying to not get any hot glue anywhere it shouldn't be, but it's inevitable. And we're going to do snow free up here on the top board and then zone here on the bottom. I think that ties in really nicely with the galvanized metal snowman, and it completes this little snow free zone snow globe. I think it's a fun take on a snow globe sign. And again, this would be a really pretty sign standing up. I haven't decided which way I'm going to use it. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I didn't put any sand shells or seashells on there. So I'm going to use one of these little tiny starfish that I get on Amazon. They're always listed in my Amazon shop below. I'm going to glue that on with some hot glue. And again, when you're gluing to the sand, you got to use a lot of hot glue because you kind of have to get down all the way to the sign. If you glue it just to the sand itself, it's going to fall right off. So you kind of have to put lots of hot glue on there and then push it really hard down into the sand. I'm just going to do 3. I think that's plenty. And there is our final project. And this is how it turned out. Our little snow-free zone snow globe. I think it's really fun. What do you think?
I think those snowmen look really happy to be in the sand for sure. Just another fun, whimsical idea. Kind of making fun of snow because we don't like it here. Now for the final reveal. I hope you got lots of crafting inspiration. Be sure to let me know which winter DIY was your favorite down in the comments below, or just come say hello. I love reading all of your comments. And don't forget to check out my second channel, Crafty Little Beach. It's just little individual DIYs over there, but I've been trying to get that channel monetized forever, so I would appreciate it.
cold outside, it tingles in my heart. Breathing air that clears my mind, I'm off for a good start. I hear those jingle bells, people singing about love. It feels like I'm a kid, like I'm forever young. And that's why I wanna sing about the Christmas on its way. A reason to hang around and celebrate this day. Everyone's smiling and it's snowing. It's the time of year again. I'm happy you're here, my winter wonderland. I'm walking around making small talk with people that pass me by. I share a laugh, it gives me joy that everyone's having a good time. I hear those jingle bells, people singing about love. It feels like I'm a kid, like I'm forever young. And that's why I wanna sing about the Christmas on its way. A reason to hang around and celebrate this day. Everyone's smiling and it's snowing. It's the time of year again. I'm happy you're here, my winter wonderland. No, it's the time of year, winter wonderland. My winter wonderland. It's the time of year, my winter wonderland, my winter wonderland. I wanna sing about the Christmas on its way. A reason to hang around and celebrate this day. Everyone's smiling and it's snowing. It's the time of year again. I'm happy you're here, my winter wonderland. Oh, my winter wonderland. Oh, my winter wonderland. When everything is white, glimmering silver white, and stillness fills the night, it's Christmas, a winter wonderland, a snowball in each hand. Take me away, Christmas Day. There's joy in the air, families near. We give thanks for this past year. Oh, nothing compares to the love that we share. Oh, what a bliss. A green red delight with glimmering silver white. You dazzle us all from big to small. Warm laughter and white smiles, my presents stacked in piles. Take me away, Christmas Day. the wine. You dazzle us all, from big to small. Warm laughter and white smiles, my presents stacked in piles. Take me away, Christmas Day. Take me away, Christmas Day.
Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's video, and I want to give a huge thank you to my Crafty Beach YouTube members for supporting my channel here. Thank you to Karen O'Haron, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Tracy Knight, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, Live Another Day, Maren Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Red Mama, and Donna Tanner. Thank you so much for the extra support. I really appreciate it. If you would like to become a Crafty Beach Fun member, all you have to do is hit the join button next to today's video. You're going to get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube. It's $4.99 a month, and you're free to cancel at any time. Would you like more winter Dollar Tree DIYs? I've got you covered. Check out one of these videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting.